Yeah, and it was that Ethereum that allowed those smart contracts, to allowed that open source method where people could actually now start, creating those D apps and really starting experimenting. And I was trying to tell my students like an analogy. When I worked on Wall Street, Ben, it was me and maybe 20 other shops like ours that had balance sheets, that had the regulation, that had the know-how, that could offer these derivative instruments, right? Maybe the JP Morgans and the Bankers Trust and the Goldman Sachs and a few others. And so we were in there innovating, but you had to have 10,000 employees. You had to have a couple billion on your balance sheet in order to even offer these instruments. And so we innovated, we competed with each other. We made a lot of money, but again, it wasn't decentralized. Now I see almost the same thing happening in this open source way, where you got 4 kids up in Helsinki or 10 kids out in Singapore, or 8 guys or men or women, I don't know where they are, I don't even know their names, right? That are cooking up these fascinating new apps. They're putting them out there. Yes, there are bumps and bruises and hacks and mistakes, but the innovation's incredible. And again, it allows the user to decide, and then you can see where the money is, and you can see the market caps, you can see the flows. And since it's a public blockchain, it's all visible. This rate of innovation could never happen in a centralized finance world, not to mention the fact in centralized finance, not only they wouldn't innovate, they keep all the money for themselves. I'm sure you read the book, The Innovator's Dilemma. It's actually just not in their interest, whether they're evil or not. It's just, it's not in their interest to eat their own lunch and take their own profits. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. What we're seeing, it's all based on that Ethereum innovation and the fact that, it's open source and other people can now go out there and play with it. There are now some issues now because everyone's on Ethereum, and I'm sure she can talk about, but I think that's a pretty good explanation. And just to be clear, you think you still have core positions in Bitcoin, core positions in Ethereum, because you think they're going up, but you think also the big asymmetrical gains are in some of these new DeFi platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen that over the last year, really 2 years now. DeFi really started kind of coming to the forefront, near the end of 2019, 2020. Throughout the first 6 months of the year, it really started ramping up. And then we call it the DeFi summer that happened last year. Yeah. It's when things really exploded. And yeah, there's certainly a lot of problems with Ethereum, but those problems actually open up opportunities for other coins. But we've seen some of the biggest gains over the last 2 years for anything. Projects like Aave, projects like Synthetic, projects like Compound. These are, a lot of them are yield farming or yield aggregators where people can do flash loans and do a lot of lending and receive interest, high APY returns and things like that through these platforms. And because these platforms are working so much and there's so much what we call TVL, total value locked onto these platforms, billions of dollars. I think right now it's at $50 billion total in DeFi. There was, I think the peak of the market, I think it was like 84 billion or something like that, that was locked into these platforms. The coins themselves are actually going up massively. Like if you look at Aave, you can't even quantify the returns of Aave for the last year. That's how high they were. It's like trying to quantify the returns from Bitcoin since 2009. It doesn't even make sense to put a percent on it. That's how much it rose. And so these platforms are the future because, like you said, they're unlocking the ability for the average person to be able to take part in the same kinds of financial instruments that the big money has been doing for years. It brings the derivatives market to the individual. There's a quadrillion dollars in derivatives out there. We're never going to stop derivatives, which are basically just IOUs. But now the individual has the power to take advantage of those instead of just the hedge funds and the institutions. And Ethereum is bringing a lot of this to the forefront. And Ethereum is the backbone of decentralized finance. But there are other chains and other projects that are starting to, build ecosystems into this. Of course, Cardano and Polkadot, those are two massive projects. They're not fully launched in their full capabilities yet. They're Cardano and Polkadot right now, which I favor Cardano by a long shot over Polkadot. I do like Polkadot too. I own a lot of Polkadot. But these two projects are kind of where Ethereum was in early 2018 in terms of their ecosystem. So it was just ramping up, building the ecosystem, building the dApps, or as you call them, DApps, decentralized applications. That's what that stands for. So Cardano and Polkadot over the next year are going to start having those come out on their platforms. They're going to have coins launched on top of them. Aave, Synthetics, Compound, these are all coins that were launched on the Ethereum blockchain. We'll have similar coins launched on these other chains. So you look at those coins and how much they rose and how much those platforms, killed it. These other chains will have also similar projects, similar platforms, similar coins as well. And I do just, before we move on, I do want to reiterate what you said a second ago, which was my number one core position is still in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, to me, it is digital gold. It does lead the market. I do believe Ethereum, assuming we do return to a bull trend this year, I do believe Ethereum has a great chance to pass Bitcoin in market cap this year or early next year. But our core position is still in Bitcoin because the better you do financially, the better you want to hedge, right? So that's why we actually have Bitcoin as our core portfolio, because it goes down the least compared to the other coins. They drop massively in bear markets, but Bitcoin we found is a safe haven for a lot of our crypto gains. One way to look at it is the end goal for people should always be trying to collect more Bitcoin and more Ethereum. The institutions, the hedge funds, the manipulation, the whales, they want you to sell your Bitcoin. They want you to sell your Ethereum. Do not sell those two coins, no matter what. Do not sell those. You want to hold on to those. You want to accumulate those. That's what gives you a voice in the governance of these projects in the future. That's the only thing that gives you a voice is being able to own those coins. Derivatives markets, Bitcoin futures contracts, Ethereum futures contracts, they're paper Bitcoin. It's paper Ethereum. You don't actually own it. You want to get on Coinbase. You don't want to go to Grayscale. You don't want to buy stock in Bitcoin through different trusts. You want to own Bitcoin, own Ethereum. If you can afford to own one Bitcoin and you don't own one Bitcoin, you are making probably the biggest mistake of your life.
DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance. This is a $9 trillion per year marketplace. I want to talk about our brand new DeFi Academy. Our first program is called the DeFi Accelerator, and we have been absolutely inundated with applications from around the world. I'm going to be talking about how you can profit from what I'm calling the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. Decentralized finance is already revolutionizing the world of finance. You just don't know it yet. I'm going to talk about the difference between DeFi and cryptocurrencies. There's a big difference. I want to go into how to trade the markets. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes emotional discipline. It takes intelligence. It's not an easy thing to do. I'm looking for a small group of people who want to actively participate in this upcoming DeFi revolution. I'm looking for serious individuals only with real net worth who want to build this exciting financial infrastructure. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, investors, colleagues who want to join forces and create real value and generational wealth. If you're one of those people, go to londonreal.tv/DeFi and submit your application. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. You have a chance now to join me on this incredible adventure for the next 10 years. It will change your life, the lives of your children and grandchildren, maybe the life of billions of people on this planet. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?